Namaste and welcome back to the JavaScript series. Today, my dear friends, we are going to continue our discussion on strings, and probably today you're going to learn about one of the most important concepts in strings, which is related to the built-in methods in strings. Please try to understand, whenever you're working with characters or sequence of characters in JavaScript, you will have to perform a variety of manipulations on them. And to perform those manipulations, JavaScript has been kind enough to provide us built-in methods. I'm giving you a general picture of all the different built-in methods. There is one which will help you remove white spaces. There is one which will allow you case conversion from uppercase to lowercase. There is one which will check the existence of a substring. There is one which will tell you or extract the substring based on the position that you provide. There is one which will replace occurrences within the string. There is something which can find you the index of the first occurrence, the last occurrence. It can split it, trim it. Multiple things can be done. Now, instead of just theoretically speaking about this, I will show you a very practical way to learn about these built-in methods. So without wasting much time, let's dive deep into the concept of built-in methods in strings. Alright, my friends, let us assume that there was a website where there is a user input form. Okay, I've just created a dummy front end for this explanation. Now here you're supposed to go and give your full name, you're supposed to give your email address, and you're supposed to give your short bio and submit it. Now what happens is, whenever a person is giving input, usually they give it in a very unstructured way, in a very unformatted way. For example, what I'm trying to say is, let us assume in this case, the person wants to give a name, alright? And let us assume the name is given like this, right? Where I'll give the full name as Alice Johnson, but you can clearly see I've left some white spaces at the beginning and at the ending. I'm not giving it in a perfect way, right? Anyways, next is the time for the email address, and let us assume I provide the email address like this. Clearly, this is in uppercase, this is in uppercase, rest is in lowercase. Usually the standard format of email is all lowercase, right? Next, for example, in my short bio or description, let us assume I want to give something like I'm a JavaScript developer and I'm a coffee enthusiast or something like that. But again, very, very unstructured, right? Now what happens is, usually, when you click on submit, what happens is, in the backend, or even if this is a React application, even in the client side, all this data gets fetched into JavaScript. And JavaScript is going to perform a variety of operations into it, and this unformatted data, it is going to format it so that you can analyze it, so that you can work on the data. Now how does this work? Let me show you. For that, I'm just taking you back to my editor, and let us assume whatever we have got from the user input is now stored within our program in a single variable which looks something like this. Okay? Let us assume it looks something like this. I hope you're able to see. So there is a variable called as user input, in which the entire input of that form submission has come inside a single variable. Now from this string, I need to extract information one by one in the form that I want, and through this process, you'll understand built-in methods in a way you have never understood before. Try to understand and follow. Alright, so I'm also just bringing this as a reference for you. This is the text, the same text here, so that you can see it better. Now focus, all of you. First and foremost, what I want to do is, I want to now take this original string and split it into meaningful parts or meaningful words. For example, clearly you can see each part, for example, the name, the email ID, and the simple bio is being logically split by this pipe symbol, right? Now, what if I want to split this string into an array in which every single element in the array has this data one by one, and the splitting should logically happen wherever there is a pipe symbol. Now how do we do this? This is very simple, so watch it. This is where built-in methods comes into the picture. What is the name of the variable? User input. So I will just say user input dot. This is how you access built-in methods. There is a wide variety of built-in methods, but I am going to make use of a built-in method called as split. And within split, I need to tell where should splitting happen. You can split it however you want. But here within double quotes, I will tell, hey, logically, I want splitting to happen wherever there is a pipe symbol. Upon doing this, please try to understand, immediately one array is created. Within this array, there is going to be the same number of elements as the number of split operations which is possible. So clearly you can see, here there is a pipe symbol. So if I split it here, I get one element. Next, if I split it here, I get the second element, I get the third element. And hence there are going to be 3 elements within the array, which I am just showcasing like this. And hence what you must understand is the built-in method split splits a string wherever you are asking the split operation to be performed and returns an array as output. Now you must obviously be giving a name or reference to this array. I will probably call it as parts. So clearly one reference is given to it called as parts. Understood? Now if you want proof that really this has happened, so I'll just go here and I'll say console.log and I will print this array for your reference. And upon doing this and executing it, clearly you can see there is an array of strings, where the first is Alice Johnson, that is the name, second is email, third is my bio. So we got an array of strings because you know these brackets is representative of an array in JavaScript. Great, awesome. Now what happens? See, now what I want to do is, now basically in this array, parts of 0 is my first element, which is nothing but my name. Parts of 1, which is my second element, is nothing but my email. Parts of 2 is nothing but my third element or bio, right? Which means now I can do something very, very simple. Now I want to extract the first element from my array, which is the name. But I want to remove all these extra white spaces, right? The white spaces which is there at the beginning and at the ending. I want to remove them. How do you remove them? No need to write any complex code. What you can now do is, watch it carefully, parts of 0. That's how I access the first element in my array. Dot. And that is a string. What is there in parts of 0 is a string. Strings are objects, which means inside that also built-in methods will be there. So I'll say dot, and I will now be using a built-in method called as trim. And if in case I do this, it will extract this name out. It will trim these unnecessary white spaces, and that string which I have got, new string which I have got, that I will be storing it within a separate variable called as name like this. So what I will do is, I'll just go here and please try to understand what is there inside the array. What is there inside this array? That will not change. You've got a brand new string because this is called as immutability. Original string never changes. So if I try to change the string, I've got a new string. Please remember, last class I've explained all this to you in depth. Now try to understand, if in case I were to go here and say console.log, and if in case I were to print name for you, and let us assume I were to print parts of 0 for you. I am printing both. Now if in case I were to go here and execute, clearly you can see this is the trimmed version. This is the original version. I hope you're able to see. Am I clear? So similarly, what I would like to now do is, let me just clear the screen. I would also like to extract my email ID and my bio by trimming all these extra white spaces, right? So all I will do here is, I will say parts of 1. That is the second element in my array. I will access it. I will trim the white spaces. Whatever I get as output, I will be storing it inside a variable. I will call it as email, right? I don't think I need to print it for you. You have understood. Next, I will say parts of 2. That is the third element in my array. I will trim it, in which case I'll get the bio, but all white spaces would have gone. And that I will be storing it inside a variable called as bio, right? So what I'm going to do is, I will just go here, remove all this. I'll remove these extra parts. And just for your reference, I will be going and printing console.log. I will print the name, my friend. I will be printing the email for your reference. I will be printing the bio for your reference. And if in case I execute, you can see you got the name, you got the email, you got the bio, but it has been trimmed out of the white spaces. So you can see how these built-in methods allows you to manipulate strings, works on strings, and format the strings, right? Wonderful. All right, my exploration doesn't end here. So as of now, you have seen two methods. One is split, okay, and I will just remove this text for the time being. You understood it. So please try to understand, you understood split, which will logically split the string and return array of strings for you. Next, you have understood trim, which trims out the white spaces. Now next, what I'm going to do is, now please try to understand, usually names will be in uppercase, emails will be in lowercase. What I want to now do here is, if you logically look at it now, all my name is all mixed up. My email is also mixed up. I want to make all the characters of my name uppercase. I want to make all the characters of my email lowercase. Now how do you do that? There are built-in methods. So now try to understand. This name contains the name, which is a string. So see, name dot, and I will now say to, and there is a built-in method called as uppercase, like this, name dot to uppercase. Am I clear till here? Right? Now this is only for people who are revising and who are practicing. I am trying to change this string, which looks like this as of now, to all uppercase. But please try to understand, the original string whose reference is name will not change no matter what you do, because strings are immutable. So when I say name.to uppercase, a brand new string gets created. The original doesn't change. Now what I will do is, I will just assign this to the same old reference, so that that reference will start pointing to this, but doesn't mean that the original changed. Understood? And if you have any confusion with what I said, please go back and watch the previous video. Anyways, I will reassign it to the same old variable name. And now if I do this, and if in case I were to go here and print name, you can see what I mean. Now it is all in uppercase, it was in lowercase. Understood? Great. Next, what do we do? Similarly, I would also like to change my email to all lowercase. I like to change it to all lowercase, and again I will reassign it to the same reference email. And if in case I were to now just go here and print this out for you by saying email, now you can see. Now do you see? Email is all in lowercase. So this is the benefit of these built-in methods, right? Because you will be working with strings on almost a daily basis. Please try to understand. Beautiful. I hope this is also clear to everyone. Now what are we going to do? Now let's do another, test. Now what I want to do is, since you have understood all this, I'll just remove these print statements, because anyways you have understood the purpose of these print statements, right? I'll remove all this. You have understood all of this. Great. Now all I want to say is, let me now just go and say console.log and let me print the bio for you, because I've extracted the bio and stored it in a variable called as bio. Now this is my bio. Now what if I want to check whether this bio includes JavaScript in it. I want to check if this bio includes JavaScript. So let us assume you're building some kind of a resume checker or an ATS system or an application tracking system where somebody uploads their resume. You need to parse the text on the resume and you need to check whether it contains JavaScript or whether it contains React or whether it contains Node or whether it contains Spring, so that you know whether the candidate matches the skill sets you're looking for or not. And there are so many such applications. We ourselves have built our own resume builder at App Academy, right? So the point I want you to understand here is that how do I check if this contains JavaScript? Oh, that is very simple. I can use a built-in method, my friend. All I need to do here is I need to go here and say bio dot, and there is one built-in method called as includes. And here within double quotes, I will check for what it should be including, which is JavaScript. Now, how does includes work? If really this bio contains JavaScript, it could be in the beginning, ending, wherever. If it just finds one occurrence, it will return true. Otherwise, it will return false, right? What it returns is Boolean, true or false. So now what I will do is, I'll just go here and whatever it gives me, I will just be collecting it within a variable which I will call as likes.js. Yes or no. Now in the next line, I will just say console.log and I will be printing this likes.js variable. Now if in case I were to clear the screen and execute it, true. That's it. Simple. Am I clear? If it did not contain, for example, if I say, can you please check if this contains Python? Now tell me, does this contain Python? Definitely not. So if I were to go here, it will tell false. So I think you got a picture of what I'm trying to say. So we will make it back into JavaScript itself. Great. Also, let us assume one more small experiment. Let us assume I want to check whether this person likes coffee. Simple. I want to check whether this person likes coffee. So how can you do that? That's very simple. I'll just go here and say I'll just copy these two lines. I will be pasting it again. I will check if it includes coffee like this. And I will change this to likes coffee like this. And I will be printing this. Clearly the bio contains coffee, and upon execution you will say yes. That's it. I think everybody understood the point I'm trying to make. Awesome. Next, what, Rohit, you may ask. All right, now let's go further in our thing, right? So now what I want to do is, so let us assume in this, bio, which I'm just printing for your reference, in this bio, you want to probably check, okay, where does the index of JavaScript start from? Because this is a string. Strings are nothing but sequence or series of characters. Every character has an index. So this is 0th index, first index, second index, third index, so on and so forth. So now you want to check whether JavaScript is there. That's great. But if it is there, you want the index of where it starts from. But JavaScript is there in two places, Rohit, you may say. That's great. You can check for first occurrence, you can check for last occurrence also. How do you do that? That is where the index of built-in method comes into the picture. So try to understand how I will be using this. So I will just go and I will say bio dot, and there is a built-in method called as index of. Next, here I will go and within double quotes, I will just tell JavaScript like this, right? And whatever it returns, I will just directly print it. Every time you don't have to store it inside some variable. You can directly print what it returns. Now, if in case I go here, clear the screen and execute, please look at the last output. It says 0 because correct, it starts from the 0th index. But I want this one, not the first occurrence, the last occurrence. And that's very simple. So all you need to do is, instead of probably saying index of, you need to now be making use of last index of. And if in case I were to do this, clear the screen and re-execute, 51. And if you were to count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that, you will see this is the 51st index. Clear? Awesome. Next what? Now let us assume we'll do another experiment where I will now just remove all this because you have anyways understood this. I'll remove these printing lines, right? I'll just remove these printing lines, or I'll just comment them off because you have understood what I'm trying to say. Great. Now what I need you to focus on is, let us assume I want to now, let me just execute this. I want to now replace JavaScript, the first occurrence of JavaScript, with capital JS. I want to replace JavaScript with capital JS. How can we do that? That's quite simple and straightforward. All I will do is I'll use built-in methods. So bio dot, and there is a method called as replace. You can see there are two variations, but I'm talking about the first one, replace. Now this takes two inputs. So the first input was what do you want to replace? What I want to replace is this occurrence of JavaScript. That is what I want to replace. What do you want to replace it with? The second input. I want to replace it with JS. And upon doing this, all right, watch it carefully. It will replace your JavaScript with JS. But please try to understand what you call as bio is a string. Strings in JavaScript are immutable, cannot be changed. And hence when you try to mutate it or change, a brand new string is created. A brand new string is created. So please try to understand, I'm just showing you. This is that bio string with a reference bio. Now when I say replace JavaScript with JS, yes, a brand new string is created in which the first occurrence of JavaScript is replaced with JS. Now the original string didn't change. Now if you want an illusion that the original string changed, you have to make bio point to this. You have to reassign the reference. How do you reassign the reference? That is what I'm doing. Whatever is returned here, I will store it back inside bio like this. That is how you reassign the reference. Now that original string is gone and the only one that is remaining is this new string. And now if in case I were to go here and try to print it out by saying console.log bio, and if I were to clear and execute it, you can see JavaScript has been replaced with JS, but not this one, which means replace only replaces the first occurrence. Now you want to replace all occurrences of JavaScript with JS, and that's very simple. I think if you have been noticing clearly, you will notice that there are two. One is replace, another is called as replace all. Now it will replace all occurrences of JavaScript with JS, simple. And now if in case I go here and execute JS and JS, that's it. I think everybody understood whatever I'm trying to say. Next what? So as of now, you've seen includes, you've seen replace, you've seen replace all, 2 uppercase, 2 lowercase, you've seen trim, you've seen split, multiple methods. And I'm showing you in a very real-time practical way, right? There's nothing theoretical about programming. Now what do we do? Now the next one I want to show you is something called as slice. Slice. I've already showed you slice method previously, but I'm showing it to you again, okay? Now let us assume it's very simple. From this bio, I want to extract this JS developer. I want to extract JS developer. So the output should be JS developer. Understood? For example, I'm trying to extract the profession out, the JS developer. Now, how do I do that? Well, that is very, very simple. You can use slice. So try to understand. I'm showing you that entire string here as a reference for you. Okay? Now what you must understand is, I'm also showing the indexes and all of that. Now keep this as reference. Now one way to do it is, I will say bio dot and I will make use of a built-in method called as slice. Now slice, if you don't give it anything, it will automatically start from the first index and all the way till the last index it will fetch for you. For example, whatever is the output of this, I'll just try to print it out for you. Right? Try to understand this. See, the same output it gives. So slice by default gives you the entire string. But in slice, you can also tell the starting index from where you want. So for example, if I tell the starting index as, for example, 4, like this. Now if I were to clear the screen and if I were to execute it, now you can see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So starting from 4th index, it gave me till the end. So if you give it one input, that is the starting index. But if you give it 2 inputs, it is a starting index as well as the ending index. So what I will do is, I know that the JS developer is at the beginning. So I will tell 0, starting index is 0. Maximum till where it should go. Now maximum till where it should go, if you ask me, one way to do it is, if I execute this previously, you can see, I'll just, okay, forget about the output of slice. I'll just comment this for the time being. Let me clear the screen. Let me execute it. So if you look at this, now, I want JS developer. I started from 0 because I know it's starting from here. Now if you notice, the ending is, I know after the profession there is an and. After the profession there is an and. So if somehow I can figure out what is the starting index of this and, there I can end my slicing. Now how do you find where is and? That is very, very simple. Now many of you who are not focusing will get confused. So please make sure you give me 100% attention. See, forget about slice for now. Forget about slice. I'm just commenting this. If I want to know where is the starting position of and, one easy way for me to do it is console.log, and those of you revising will know, I can say bio dot and I can use includes. And I can say, can you please tell me what is the starting, position of and, like this. Now if I were to execute this, clearly you can see, yes, it includes, that is there. But if I want the index, I should not use includes. I should be using index of. That will give me the first occurrence. Now if I go here and execute, it will tell me 13. Understood? So it told me that the first occurrence is 13. Now try to understand. What I will do is, instead of giving it here, I'll remove this. What is the output of this? 13. This output or whatever it returns, I will take it inside slice. Starting index is 0. Ending index, I will paste this. So please try to understand, this is 0, 13. And the way slice works is, the first index is included in the output, but the last index is excluded out of the output. Start is included, end is not included, which means it will stop one step before A or AND. Understood? And now if in case I were to do this, and if I go and execute this, clearly you can see you got JS developer. That's it. But be rest assured that this white space is also present here. You're not able to see it, but this white space is there. If you want to ensure that the white space is not there, watch it. What I will do is I'll just remove this log statement for now so that you don't get confused. So I told, hey, use slice. Starting index has to be 0. Ending index has to be whatever is the output of this index of. And now what I will do is I will go here and say whatever string is returned, please remove the white spaces by telling trim like this. Because you know, what will trimming do? It will remove the white spaces. Now whatever this gives me, I will directly print it. And now if in case I were to clear the screen and execute it, look at the last output, same thing, but this white space is not there, though you're not able to see it. Amazing, great, awesome. So you see how useful all these methods are. All right, now let's go do one more thing, okay? Now what I want to do is, let us assume I want to also, for example, I've showed you multiple methods, and I've also in the previous class showed you that if you want individual characters, you can access, using the bracket or index of operator or caret that I've already shown you. One more thing is, let us assume you want to check how many characters are there in the bio. That's also very simple. I'll just say console.log, and here I will tell bio dot, there is a built-in method called as length. And now if I just print its output, you can see, oops, there is an output. It is telling my console spelling is wrong. Yes, it is wrong. Now I'll just go here, clear the screen, and if I re-execute, now it is telling length is not a function. Very important. I made a big syntax mistake. This in arrays also I've explained to you. Length, my friends, is not a function. Length is a property or a variable. Same thing in arrays I've explained to you. So function will have, the way to call a function is using parenthesis, but this is just a variable, okay? So if in case I were to go here, and clear the screen, and if I were to execute, now you can see my entire bio has 46 characters in it. That is the length, okay? So keep that point in mind. Many people make this mistake. Length is not a function, it is a variable. It's a property, okay? Now, I think this much is clear to all of you. All right. Now, let us assume I want to create one output with all this data, one formatted output, right? This is where please try to understand. Also, before that, let me show you two more methods which will help you a lot. See, now we have taken this email. We have collected the email and stored it inside email. Now, let us assume I want to do a simple validation where I want to check whether this is an email or not. Now, there are very complex ways to do it. There are very basic ways to do it. Because this is a beginner-friendly course, I'm showing a very basic way to do it. How do I check if this is an email? Very simple. First of all, it should contain one @. Second, it should end with .com. That is one way in which I can check. Now, how do you check if in case, email is valid? Now, watch this carefully. I'll just go and say email. That is my string. Dot. First thing that I will do is, I will say includes. First thing is includes. What should I check it includes? Obviously, it should include @. It should include @. Now, please tell me, what will this return? Either it will return true or false. Now to this, I will add a condition. I will say and like this. So those of you who have listened to my operators lectures, you know about and, or and all of that. And which is the other condition I will check? Email dot. Now there is one method called as ends with. There is a method called as ends with. Inside this I will say ends with what? It should be ending with .com. Am I clear? Now try to understand what this will do. Email dot includes at the rate. If it includes at the rate, it will give you true. And email dot ends with. If it ends with .com, ends with also works like include. It either returns true or it returns false. Which means both the conditions need to be true for this entire condition to evaluate to true. Because the way AND works is only if both conditions are true, it evaluates to true. Even if one condition is false, it evaluates to false. So whatever it gives me as output, I will go here and store it inside a variable. I will call it as valid email. Is it a valid email? Yes or no? Now try to understand. If in case I were to go here and I will say console.log and I were to print valid email for your reference. Now if I go execute, yes, it is a valid email. But let us assume I go here, dot, if I make it as com with say one more O like this. Now if I were to execute it, you can see it tells false. So very simple, a very simple validation check. So I introduced you to one more method called as ends with. Obviously, if you're thinking, you will understand. If you have ends with, you will obviously also have starts with. As simple as that. So I want you to experiment with that. Okay, great. Next, what I want to do is, there is one more. So now I want to add all of this together and make like one formatted output. What do you mean by formatted output? So let us assume I want the output in a way where I say this is the name of the person, then next to the name should come. Then I should tell this is the email of the person, email should come. Bio of the person, bio should come. That I want to create one tabular structure as the output. Now how do you create this formatted string? That is where your template literal comes into the picture. If you didn't understand what I'm trying to say, watch this. I will create one variable. I'll call it as final profile. Okay. Now in the next line, how do you create your template strings? Backticks. So watch it. I will create backticks like this. Now inside this, I will go and I will start creating. So first of all, I'll start by saying user profile. User profile. All right. Now below this, I will tell name. Now next to the name, what I want is this name. So I'll also just ensure that I leave some space here like this. Okay, name. Now next to this name, I want the actual name to come and sit. And the actual name is inside this variable called as name. Now how do you take this value and put it here? That is where the template literals magic starts, where you can say dollar followed by these brackets. Inside that you can put any variable. I will give it as name. That's it. Understood? And just in case there are no white spaces, I will also make sure that I trim it. Just in case. Understood what I'm trying to say? Great. Now in the next line, I will say email. And next, I'll come here and I will say, okay boss, the email has to be, for example, like this. Again, the same thing I will do. Dollar followed by this parenthesis, and email is inside this variable called as email. And this also, if you want, you can obviously trim it. I think we've already done it, but I'm just showing you. All right. Next, for example, I will say profession like this. Now, this profession is what I have got from here. So what I want to do is I want to store this profession which I got inside a variable. So I'll just go here and I will store this inside a variable. Let's call it as profession like this. Now what happens is after this I can go and store the profession, and see, just for the sake of alignment, I'll make sure it's all aligned correctly. Here again I'll put dollar, I'll put these brackets, and here I will be adding my profession like this. If you want, you can trim it as well, that is up to you. Next, similarly, I want my, say for example, whether they like JS or not. So, I have a variable called as likes.js and I have a variable called as likes coffee. So what I'll do here is, I'll go here and I'll say likes JavaScript. And here I'll just go and I will put that variable. I will maybe make it as likes JS. Similarly, I can easily go here, make this as likes coffee. Let's make it as likes coffee, and let's make this also as likes coffee, like this. I hope you're able to see how I'm able to do this, and this alignment is slightly off. Let's bring it correctly and align it all like this. Now if you want to see what this output really looks like, so I'll just come here and I will say console.log, and I will be printing my user, not input, sorry, it is the final profile which I want to print. And just so that we don't have any distractions, let me comment all these other guys off, right? Anything else, user input, yeah, this bio also, let me just comment it off. Great. Now I want you to see what this really looks like. So watch this, all of you. Now if in case I were to come here, I were to try to execute it, you will get an output like this, user profile and all of this. So you can see how we took one string, formatted it, extracted, split, trim, starts with, ends with, variety of things we did, right? Now let us assume here you want like one dash 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 like a separator, and at the end you want a dash 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 like a separator. Now how do you do that? That's a very simple way to do it. I want you to understand. Look at my approach. So I'll just go here and I'm just going to go and show you one more built-in method. So I'll just go and say within double quotes I will put a dash. Now this is my string. Let us assume I want it to repeat 30 times and the 30 dashes should be my string. Now you don't have to put dash 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 30 times. Instead, you can use a built-in method called as repeat. And within brackets, you please tell how many times you want to repeat it. I want to repeat it 30 times. This, I will be storing it within a variable. I will call it as like this. Now the magic is, I'll just go here and within my template, after this user profile, I'll just go here and here I am going to put $, I'm going to put this, and here I will just add my separator. And the separator, I will also add it at the end like this. Now watch it. If I were to clear the screen and execute it, you can see the separators. So I think this was a very practical way for you to understand about the different built-in methods. I can go on showing you a variety of examples, but unless until you yourself practice, you will not get a grasp of programming, right? Anyways, that's it today from my side regarding this particular topic. I hope all of you understood the importance of built-in methods. If you're really enjoying the class, I again ask you to like, share and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us, and I will catch you in the next class. Till then, keep coding, keep learning. Take care. Bye-bye.